The stars twinkled in the night sky, unaware of the dark events about to unfold. Earth, a small blue planet in the vast galaxy, was about to face its greatest challenge yet. For years, humans had looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone. That question was answered when the Galactic Council made contact. The Council, a powerful group of alien races, offered Earth a chance to join their ranks. It was a dream come true for many. Earth's leaders gathered in New York to meet the Council's representatives. The aliens looked strange to human eyes. Some had blue skin, others had 4 arms, and a few even floated in the air. But their message was clear: join us, and together we'll build a better future. We offer peace, progress, and the chance to explore the stars, said Zaxto, the Council's main speaker. His 3 eyes blinked as he spoke, his voice translated by a small device on his chest. World leaders listened with excitement. The U.S. President, a tall woman with gray hair, asked, "What do we need to do to join?" Zaxto smiled, or at least that's what the humans thought his mouth tentacles moving meant. Simple. We need to check if your children are ready. This request seemed odd, but no one wanted to upset their new alien friends. So they agreed. The next day, every child on Earth under the age of 12 was asked to gather in their local parks or schools. Parents brought their kids, thinking it was a special event. Children laughed and played, excited to see the aliens. Little did they know, it would be the last day of their lives. As the sun reached its highest point, something changed. The air buzzed with energy. Then, without warning, beams of light shot down from the sky. They hit the gathered children, and in an instant, millions of young lives were gone. The world watched in horror as their children vanished. Screams filled the air. Parents ran to where their kids had been, finding nothing but empty spaces. In New York, Earth's leaders confronted Zaxto. "What have you done?" yelled the U.S. President, her face red with anger and wet with tears. Zaxto's 3 eyes narrowed. "We've ensured our future," he said coldly. "Human children possess a unique energy. By harvesting it, we've gained power to rule the galaxy for 1,000 years." The room erupted in chaos. Guards tried to capture the alien, but Zaxto vanished in a flash of light. On screens around the room, they saw the Galactic Council's ships leaving Earth's orbit. As news spread, the planet fell into despair. Parents mourned their lost children. Cities became quiet, playgrounds empty. The pain was deep, touching every corner of the globe. But as days passed, something else grew alongside the pain. Anger, rage, a burning desire for revenge. In a secret military base, General Sarah Chen stared at a map of the galaxy. Her own daughter was among the taken. "They think they've weakened us," she said to her team. But they've only awakened the sleeping giant. Across the world, similar scenes played out. Scientists vowed to create weapons to fight the Council. Soldiers trained harder than ever. Even ordinary people looked for ways to help. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake. They thought killing Earth's children would break humanity. Instead, it united them like never before. As Earth prepared for war, a message was sent to every corner of the planet. It was simple but powerful. Remember our children. Prepare for revenge. The stars still twinkled in the night sky. But now, when humans looked up, they didn't see wonder. They saw a battlefield, and they were ready to fight. The world had changed overnight. Where once there was laughter and the sound of playing children, now there was only silence. The attack by the Galactic Council had left a wound so deep, it seemed impossible to heal. In New York, Sarah walked through Central Park. Just days ago, it had been filled with kids on swings and slides. Now, it was empty. Toys lay abandoned on the grass, a painful reminder of what was lost. Sarah's phone buzzed. It was a message from General Chen. "Emergency meeting at HQ. We need you." Sarah took one last look at the park and left, her heart heavy, but her mind focused on what needed to be done. Across the ocean in London, Dr. James Kumar sat in his lab, staring at a screen filled with data. He hadn't slept in days, trying to understand the technology the Council had used. "There has to be a way to fight back," he muttered, rubbing his tired eyes. His assistant, Maria, entered the room. "Dr. Kumar, you need to see this." She turned on the TV. News reports from around the world showed mass protests. People were angry, demanding action against the Galactic Council. In Beijing, millions filled the streets, holding pictures of their lost children. In Rio de Janeiro, a group had torn down the newly built Galactic Council embassy. Even in small towns, people gathered, sharing their grief and anger. Back in New York, Sarah arrived at the military HQ. The room was packed with leaders from around the world. Some were in person, others on large screens. Everyone looked tired, their faces marked by days of crying and sleepless nights. General Chen stood up. "We all know why we're here," she said, her voice strong despite the pain in her eyes. "The Galactic Council thought they could break us. They were wrong." A murmur of agreement ran through the room. The U.S. president spoke next. "We've lost our children, but we haven't lost our will to fight. The question is, how do we fight an enemy so advanced?" Dr. Kumar's face appeared on one of the screens. "I think I might have an answer to that," he said. All eyes turned to him. The energy beam they used. It left traces. We can track them. Excitement filled the room. For the first time in days, there was a glimmer of hope. But the Russian president raised a hand. "Even if we can find them, how do we fight them? Our weapons are no match for theirs." That's when an unexpected voice spoke up. In the corner of the room stood a young woman, barely out of her teens. It was Lisa, a prodigy who had been working on advanced AI. What if we could use their own technology against them? The room fell silent, waiting for her to continue. Lisa took a deep breath and explained her plan. It was bold, maybe even crazy, but it just might work. As the meeting continued, plans were made. Task forces were formed. The world was mobilizing for war, but not just any war. This would be a war to avenge their children, to make the Galactic Council pay for what they had done. Outside, the world was changing. Factories that once made cars now produced spacecraft parts. Schools turned into training centers. Every resource, every mind was focused on one goal: revenge. But amidst all this activity, the pain remained. In homes around the world, parents sat in quiet rooms, looking at photos of their lost children. The silence in these rooms was deafening, a constant reminder of what had been taken. Yet from this pain came strength. People who had never spoken to their neighbors now worked side by side. Countries that had been enemies for centuries now shared resources and information. As night fell, Sarah stood on the roof of the HQ, looking up at the stars. The same stars that had once filled her with wonder now seemed cold and threatening. But as she watched, a shooting star streaked across the sky. In that moment, Sarah made a silent promise. "We will find you," she whispered to the night sky, "and we will make you pay for every child you took." The world had changed, but humanity had changed too. They were no longer just inhabitants of Earth. They were survivors, fighters, and soon, they would be warriors. The Galactic Council had started this war, but humanity would end it. The world's leaders gathered in a secret underground bunker. It was time to make a choice that would change the course of human history forever. General Chen stood at the head of the table, her face stern. "We've all seen the reports," she said. "Dr. Kumar's team has found a way to track the Galactic Council's ships. Lisa's AI can help us understand their technology. Now we must decide. Do we strike back?" The room fell silent. The weight of the decision hung heavy in the air. The U.S. president spoke first. "We've lost millions of our children. If we do nothing, their deaths mean nothing. I say we fight." Murmurs of agreement filled the room, but not everyone was convinced. "With what?" asked the Chinese premier. "Our weapons are like sticks and stones compared to theirs. We'd be sending our people to die." That's when Sarah stepped forward. In the weeks since the attack, she had been working non-stop with a team of scientists and engineers. "We may have a solution for that," she said. All eyes turned to her as she pulled up a holographic display. It showed designs for ships and weapons unlike anything they'd seen before. By combining Dr. Kumar's research on their energy beam with Lisa's AI predictions, we've created prototypes that can match their technology, Sarah explained. "We can fight them on equal terms." Excitement buzzed through the room, but the Indian Prime Minister raised a hand. "Even if we can fight them, should we? They're clearly more advanced. Maybe we should try to negotiate, find a peaceful solution." The room erupted in angry shouts. "Peaceful," yelled a voice from the back. It was a mother who had lost her twins in the attack. She had been invited to represent the victims' families. "They killed our children. There can be no peace with monsters." General Chen called for order. "I understand the desire for peace," she said softly. "But the Council has shown us their true nature. They see us as resources to be harvested, not as equals to negotiate with." The room fell quiet again, each person wrestling with the enormity of the choice before them. Finally, the Secretary General of the UN stood up. "We've always dreamed of reaching the stars," he said. "But not like this, not at the cost of our children. I say we fight, not just for revenge, but for the future of humanity." One by one, the leaders nodded in agreement. The decision was made. Earth would go to war. But war required preparation. As the meeting continued, plans were laid out. A new global defense force would be created, combining the best soldiers from every nation. They would be trained to use the new weapons and ships. Factories around the world would be converted to produce the advanced technology Sarah and her team had developed. Every resource would be poured into this effort. A secret space station would be built as a base for the new fleet, hidden in the shadow of the moon. It would be invisible to the Council's long-range scanners. As for the public, it was decided that they needed to know. The truth about the Council's betrayal and the plan for revenge would be revealed to the world. "People will panic," warned one advisor. But the Australian Prime Minister disagreed. "People are stronger than you think," she said. "Give them a chance to fight back, and they'll surprise you." As the meeting drew to a close, General Chen looked around the room. "What we're about to do will change everything," she said. "We're not just fighting for our lost children. We're fighting for our right to exist, for our place in the galaxy." The leaders filed out, each carrying the weight of their decision. Outside, the world waited, unaware that their fate had just been decided. In orbit, hidden from Earth's view, a small Galactic Council probe watched. It had been recording the planet's activity since the attack. As the leaders emerged from the bunker, the probe sent a signal deep into space. The message was simple: the humans are preparing for war. In the vast darkness of space, the Galactic Council received the message. They had thought the humans would be broken, easy to control. They were wrong. And soon, they would learn just how wrong they were. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. The world was a hive of activity. Every continent, every country, every city was focused on one goal: preparing for the greatest war humanity had ever faced. In a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Sarah oversaw the production of Earth's new fleet. Massive ships, sleek and deadly, were taking shape. Workers moved around the clock, their faces a mix of determination and awe. "How's progress?" General Chen asked, stepping up beside Sarah. Sarah pointed to the largest ship. "The Avenger will be ready for its first test flight next week. The others are not far behind." General Chen nodded, her eyes reflecting the blue glow of the ship's engines. "And the weapons?" "Dr. Kumar's team has outdone themselves," Sarah replied. "The energy beams are twice as powerful as we hoped. If his calculations are correct, they'll cut through the Council's shields like butter." Meanwhile, in a high-tech gym in Tokyo, the first group of Earth's new super soldiers were training. Men and women from every nation pushed their bodies to the limit and beyond. Lisa, the young AI prodigy, walked among them, tablet in hand. "The nanobot injections are working better than expected," she told the head trainer. "Their strength and reflexes are off the charts." One soldier, a former Olympic athlete named Jack, lifted a weight that would have been impossible for a normal human. "When do we get to fight?" he asked, his voice a mix of excitement and anger. "Soon," Lisa promised. "But first, we need to make sure you're ready for space combat." Across the planet, in labs and workshops, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. They reverse-engineered alien tech, created new alloys stronger than anything on Earth, and developed AI systems to match the Council's advanced computers. In orbit, hidden on the far side of the Moon, the secret space station neared completion. It would serve as humanity's forward base, the launching point for their revenge. But not all the preparation was technological. In schools and community centers, people of all ages learned about space, about alien cultures, about the new reality humanity faced. Children, those who were too young to be taken, threw themselves into studies. "I'm going to be a space pilot," a young girl told her teacher, her eyes bright with determination. "I'm going to make them pay for taking my big brother." The teacher, fighting back tears, simply nodded. "Yes, you will." In fields and forests, new plants grew. These were not ordinary crops, but the result of advanced bioengineering. They grew faster, produced more oxygen, and could survive in the harsh environments of alien worlds. Earth was not just preparing for war, but for the long-term survival of the human race among the stars. As the days turned to weeks, and weeks to months, the world changed. Cities were transformed, with new buildings designed to withstand orbital bombardment. Underground shelters were built to house millions. But perhaps the biggest change was in the people themselves. The grief and shock of the first days had hardened into a steely resolve. Humanity had been knocked down, but now it was getting back up, stronger than ever. In Washington, D.C., the U.S. President addressed the nation and the world. "We have been tested," she said, her voice firm. "We have suffered a loss greater than any in our history, but we have not broken. We have not given up. Instead, we have come together, not just as nations, but as a species." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "To the Galactic Council, I say this. You thought you had defeated us. You were wrong. We're coming for you, and we will not stop until justice is served." As her words echoed across the globe, cheers erupted in every city, every town, every home. The message was clear. Humanity was ready. In space, the small Council probe that had been watching Earth suddenly found itself surrounded by a swarm of tiny advanced Earth satellites. Before it could send a warning, it was destroyed in a flash of light. Earth had taken its first step towards reclaiming the stars. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. The stage was set. The pieces were in place. Now, it was time for humanity to make its move. The day had finally come. After months of preparation, humanity was ready to launch its first attack against the Galactic Council. In the command center of the lunar base, General Chen stood before a holographic display of the galaxy. A small red dot blinked near the edge. "That's our target," she said. "A minor council outpost. They won't expect us there." Sarah nodded, her face grim. "The Avenger is ready. Captain Rodriguez and his crew are on board." On the bridge of the Avenger, Captain Rodriguez looked at his crew. They were the best Earth had to offer, each chosen for their skills and determination. "This is it," he said. "Everything we've worked for comes down to this moment." The ship hummed to life, its advanced engines glowing with power. As it lifted off from the lunar surface, cheers erupted from the base below. Back on Earth, millions watched on screens as the Avenger disappeared into the stars. In homes, schools, and public squares, people held their breath. The future of humanity rested on this mission. The journey took days, but to the crew, it felt like years. They trained, they planned, they remembered why they were fighting. Each carried a picture of a lost child, a constant reminder of their purpose. Finally, the Council outpost came into view. It was a sprawling space station, its alien architecture both beautiful and menacing. "They haven't spotted us," the tactical officer reported. The Avengers' stealth technology, reverse-engineered from Council tech, was working perfectly. Captain Rodriguez took a deep breath. "Launch the fighters," he ordered. From the Avengers' bays, a swarm of small, agile ships emerged. Each was piloted by a super soldier, their enhanced reflexes making them unbeatable in combat. The attack caught the Council completely by surprise. Human fighters tore through the outpost's defenses like they were paper. On the station, alarms blared as panicked aliens ran for safety. "Main cannon charge," the weapons officer announced. Captain Rodriguez nodded. "Fire." A beam of pure energy, more powerful than anything humanity had ever created, shot from the Avenger. It struck the heart of the station, cutting through shields and armor alike. In the command center, a Council officer stared in disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered. "They're just humans." Those were his last words before the station exploded in a brilliant flash of light. As the debris settled, Captain Rodriguez turned to his communications officer. "Send the message." Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, the same transmission appeared. It showed the destruction of the outpost, followed by a simple message. "This is humanity. You took our children. Now we're coming for you." On the Galactic Council's central world, the news caused chaos. Emergency meetings were called, fleets were mobilized. But it was too late. Humanity had struck its first blow, and it was devastating. Back on the Avenger, the crew celebrated their victory, but Captain Rodriguez knew this was just the beginning. "Prepare for jump," he ordered. "We have more targets to hit." On Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. People danced in the streets, hugged strangers, cried tears of joy and relief. For the first time since the tragedy, there was hope. In her office, the U.S. President addressed the world again. "Today, we have shown the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night. We have taken our first step towards justice." But amidst the celebration, leaders like General Chen and Sarah knew the hard part was just beginning. The Council would retaliate, and the war would escalate. In labs and factories around the world, work doubled. More ships were built, more soldiers were trained. Earth was preparing for a long, hard fight. As night fell, Sarah stood on the roof of the command center, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Avenger was continuing its mission. Somewhere out there, the Council was reeling from the unexpected attack. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. They thought the loss of the children would break the human spirit. Instead, it had forged it into something stronger, something unstoppable. The war had truly begun, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy what it was capable of. The galaxy was on fire. What had started as humanity's revenge had turned into a full-scale intergalactic war. Battles raged across countless star systems, and the name Earth was now spoken with both fear and respect throughout the cosmos. On the bridge of the flagship Vengeance, Admiral Sarah watched as her fleet engaged a Galactic Council armada. The space around them lit up with explosions and energy beams. "Enemy cruiser down," shouted her tactical officer. "Two more incoming on the port side." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Activate the Omega Protocol," she ordered. The Vengeance's hull began to glow, channeling energy from 1,000 stars. When it fired, the beam cut through the Council ships like they were made of paper. Meanwhile, on a distant jungle planet, a team of human super soldiers fought their way through alien defenses. Their leader, Captain Jack, moved with impossible speed, his enhanced body allowing him to dodge energy blasts with ease. "Plant the bomb," he yelled, providing cover fire as his team set up a device that would destroy the Council's main communication relay on this world. As the humans retreated, the explosion lit up the sky, cutting off an entire sector of Council space from its command. Back on Earth, in the Global Command Center, General Chen studied holographic maps of the galaxy. Human-controlled territory was expanding rapidly, but the Council was far from defeated. "We've liberated another dozen worlds," reported a young officer. "The locals are grateful. Many are joining our cause." Chen nodded. Earth's fight for vengeance had sparked hope in other races oppressed by the Council. Allies were joining them every day. But the war was taking its toll. Reports came in of Council retaliation against civilian targets. The galaxy was suffering, and some on Earth began to question the cost of their revenge. In a secret Council chamber, the alien leaders were in panic. "How is this possible?" demanded the High Counselor, his tentacles writhing in agitation. They were primitives just a few years ago. A hologram appeared, showing Dr. Kumar working in his lab. "This human," said another counselor. "He's the key. Their technological leap. It's unprecedented." "Then he must be eliminated," the High Counselor declared. News of the assassination attempt on Dr. Kumar reached the front lines quickly. It failed, thanks to Lisa's AI security systems, but it was a wake-up call. The Council was getting desperate. On a war-torn planet, a human soldier named Maria comforted a young alien child who had lost its parents in the fighting. "It's okay," she said softly, remembering her own lost daughter. "We'll protect you." Such scenes were becoming common. Humanity's war for revenge was evolving into something more, a fight for justice across the galaxy. Admiral Sarah's fleet pushed deeper into Council space, liberating world after world. But with each victory, a question grew in her mind. When would it be enough? On Earth, debates rage. Some called for total destruction of the Council. Others argued for a ceasefire, saying the point had been made. The U.S. President addressed these concerns in a global broadcast. "We started this war to avenge our children," she said, "but we'll end it by building a better galaxy for all children, of all species." As she spoke, on a distant Council world, a group of alien children were being led to a harvesting chamber, just as Earth's children had been. But this time, something was different. The doors burst open, and human soldiers rushed in. Leading them was Captain Jack. "You're safe now," he told the frightened alien kids. "We're here to take you home." News of this rescue spread rapidly across the galaxy. Suddenly, humanity wasn't just seen as vengeful warriors, but as liberators and protectors. The war had changed everyone. Humans had become a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy, but they had also rediscovered their capacity for compassion. As the conflict entered its final stages, the question on everyone's mind was, how would it end? Would humanity's thirst for revenge be satisfied, or had they found a new purpose among the stars? The answer would shape the future of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The final battle for the galaxy had begun. Earth's massive fleet, led by the flagship Vengeance, faced off against the last stronghold of the Galactic Council. The planet Nexus, home to the Council's central government, loomed large in the view screens. Admiral Sarah stood on the bridge, her face set in grim determination. "All ships, prepare for engagement," she ordered. "Today, we end this." As the human fleet moved forward, the Council's defenses came to life. Thousands of ships and orbital platforms opened fire, filling space with deadly energy beams and missiles. But humanity was ready. Their shields, based on Dr. Kumar's groundbreaking research, held firm. Human ships returned fire, their advanced weapons tearing through the Council's once invincible defenses. On the planet's surface, Captain Jack led a team of super soldiers on a daring mission. Their goal: capture the Council leaders alive. "Remember," he told his team as they dodged enemy fire, "we're here for justice, not more bloodshed." Back in the space battle, a Council super-weapon activated, threatening to destroy half the human fleet. But before it could fire, a small ship piloted by Lisa, the AI prodigy, slipped through its defenses. Her fingers flew over the controls, hacking into the weapon systems. "Not today," she muttered as she turned the weapon against its creators. The tide of battle turned decisively in humanity's favor. One by one, the Council's ships fell or surrendered. On Nexus, Captain Jack's team fought their way into the Council's chambers. The High Counselor, once so powerful and arrogant, now cowered before the human soldiers. "Please," he begged, "have mercy." Jack's hand tightened on his weapon, remembering the millions of children lost. But then he thought of the alien children he'd saved, of the new allies Earth had made. "You'll face justice," he said firmly, "but not revenge. We're better than that." As the Council leaders were led away in restraints, cheers erupted across the human fleet. Admiral Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "It's over," she said softly. "We've won." But the real work was just beginning. In the days that followed, representatives from hundreds of alien races gathered on Nexus. Earth, once a backwater planet, now stood at the center of galactic politics. The U.S. President, speaking for all of humanity, addressed the gathered aliens. "We came to the stars seeking vengeance," she said. "But we found something more. We found a galaxy in need of change, of justice. Today, we propose a new beginning." She outlined a plan for a new galactic government, one based on equality and mutual respect. Many alien races, impressed by humanity's strength and inspired by their compassion, quickly agreed. The trial of the Council leaders was broadcast across the galaxy. Evidence of their crimes, not just against Earth, but against countless other races, was presented. In the end, justice was served, but with mercy, life imprisonment rather than execution. On Earth, memorials were built to honor the lost children. But they were not just places of sorrow. They also celebrated the new era of peace and cooperation that had been born from tragedy. Dr. Kumar, standing before one such memorial, spoke to a crowd of humans and aliens alike. "Our children's legacy," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "is a better galaxy for all." In orbit, the Vengeance was being refitted. Where to next? An alien engineer asked Admiral Sarah. She smiled, looking out at the stars. "Exploration," she replied. "There's so much more to discover." Captain Jack found himself teaching combat skills to a mixed class of human and alien students. "Remember," he told them, "strength isn't just about fighting. It's about when not to fight." And Lisa, her AI systems now integrated into the new galactic network, worked tirelessly to improve life across thousands of worlds. As years passed, the galaxy changed. Earth became a beacon of hope and progress. The human spirit, once tested by tragedy, had emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. In a small park on Earth, a young human girl played with an alien child. Their laughter, bright and carefree, echoed under the stars. Stars that no longer seemed distant and cold, but full of promise and new beginnings. The galaxy had learned a powerful lesson: never underestimate humanity. In the face of unimaginable loss, they had not only survived but thrived, transforming a quest for vengeance into a mission of hope for all.